I'm about to The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs.
All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. We got a comedian here tonight. David Graham is here, folks. So we have fake laughter.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
That's the way I get the guy pumped up because he's on the show. A little bit of backstory on you. You're a comedian, a pastor. Yes. You have a book that we're going to talk about, The X-Files. Mm-hmm. You're a basketball player back in the day. I'm sure you still play a little bit.
Very little, yes.
Probably not as much as you probably did back in the day, though.
Can't jump over a pizza box, man.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just like, no. I'm chill and don't play any more ball. I don't know if you saw the press conference, but I gave it up.
You gave it up, right. I do want to do a shout out to Pete's in the audience here. Pete was actually on last week. He's actually off camera. Pete O'Shea. So I appreciate him connecting us and having you on the show. Kind of like just for the audience out there, kind of start back. Are you from the St. Louis area? Have you?
No, my people are originally from Africa. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, straight up, man. I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, born and raised in Tulsa, and went to school there, raised there, went to high school, went to college, played ball, then moved to St. Louis right after college in 19. None of your business.
None of your business, right? So, I bet back when you were playing basketball, you were probably that guy on the team that was the funny guy, kind of.
Pretty much. I've been doing comedy since second grade, man.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at a grown-up class clown, okay? And I wasn't really super silly, but I was kind of like the tension releaser. If Coach really got on a guy, I'd walk up to him and say, "Hey, man, listen, Coach meant everything he just said to you. Don't let it happen again." Right? But I got a chance to play against some really cool guys, man. Played against Dennis Rodman 3 times in college. In college,
really?
Yeah. He played.
That's before the hair color change and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, man. He played at Southeastern Oklahoma State in Durant, Oklahoma. I played at Oklahoma Baptist University, and people, when they hear Baptist, think, "Oh, y'all can't play no ball." Okay. Yeah, we were number 4 in the nation.
Wow.
Until we started playing. And
I'm gonna turn this mic to you just a little bit more.
But we really had a good team. We were the first Sooner Athletic Conference champions that the school ever had. So we were good.
And you played against Dennis Rodman. Any other players back then?
Played in a couple of pro-ams against Isaiah Thomas. Let's see, guy from Duke named Elton Brand. Played against him. And, pretty much just the college ball thing, man. And I think that was the biggest name that I actually played against.
How did you sharpen your skills as a basketball player when you were like a kid? Were you just constantly playing in the neighborhood?
Just love for the game.
Love for the game.
Love for the game. My father took me to see the Harlem Globetrotters when I was 7. Lost my mind. I really got to learn how to do this, right? That's before I knew that I was going to be taller than everybody in the class. Before I knew I could outrun and outjump, people in the class, right? But at that point, I knew I was hooked on ball, and my uncle bought me an ABA red, white, and blue basketball, one that had all the color. I mean, I
remember that back in the day, yeah.
So I got on that thing, man. I was just dribbling, and at 8, I got to the point where I can go between my legs without lifting my legs up. And I got to a point where I was playing consistently with the guys that are 2, 3, 4 years older than I was.
Is that how I guess that's how players kind of know that they're probably different than the crowd because they're in that other league, they're playing with people older. So, I mean, did you kind of know that you had something going on when that?
When I was 6th grade and the 8th graders and the 9th graders kept picking me. They said, "Graham, come on, run with us." I'm like, "Oh, man, okay. Yeah, that'll work. And then I started dunking in the 7th grade. And at that point, I knew that this might work out.
Did sports teach you a lot about just ethics and about a way to hard work and
ethics, sports, really?
And, yeah. Well, teach you, being good with your opponents and be, class act kind of deal.
Yeah, going to a Baptist university helped. When I was 13, I gave my life to Christ. And it was one of those situations where I knew exactly what I was doing. Nobody had to push me into it, right? And I was so on fire for the Lord. I wanted to take all my friends to church with me, but I was too young to drive. So I stayed on fire for the Lord, got to high school, asked my friends to go. All my friends went except my best friend. His name was Pete also, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, man, come to church with me. He said, man, I ain't going to your church with you. I said, why? He said, I've been to your church. What's the problem? Your pastor got a speech impediment. What? I said, yeah, every time I'm up in there, he's always talking about what the Lord hath done. Yeah, everything that hath breath. Right. I'm like, man, I went back and told my pastor about it, right? He just laughed and said, some people are so silly sometimes. So, it was one of those things where I knew who God was early. Right. I went to the Falls Creek Baptist Assembly Camp in Davis, Oklahoma, and I spent a lot of time in what was called the OBU hut. I didn't know what that was, OBU, and I finally asked somebody, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. OBU is Oklahoma Baptist University. So coming out of junior college, some years later, I got 54 offers to go and play 4-year ball, but my parents were older, and I didn't want them to have to travel I got scholarship offers from Virginia, University of Richmond, Old Dominion, places like that. But it was too far to go. I just said, nah, I don't really want to go that far. So I started looking at the smaller schools that were close, and one of the schools was Oklahoma Baptist University that really wanted me to go. Mm-hmm. So I ended up calling the coach, and I said, Coach, I think I want to come. And so signed on my letter of intent, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. And so you had a pretty good basketball career there then.
Yeah, I did. All-American, all-decade. They put me in this thing called the 40-point club if you score 40 or more points. Mm-hmm. Coach pulled me out of that game with almost 6 minutes to go. I said, Coach, I could have got a 50. He said, go on, sit down, you're doing great. So got a chance to go to Salina, Kansas in the pre-disbursement camp for the San Diego Clippers. They were in San Diego at that point. And I went there. There was 118 guys there, and they were only sending 10 out to the coast, right? Hurt my knee in the second workout, right? I was doing really good. Hurt me, no guarantee I'd have made it, but hurt my knee in the second workout. But that was the end of my basketball career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shoot. Do you ever think what would happen if the injury didn't happen?
I probably wouldn't have met my wife.
Yeah.
Probably would have never met you. Would have
probably
never gone into comedy. Who knows? But God had a plan, and I've learned to trust him.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
What's your favorite basketball? What's a good basketball movie that really represents how basketball really is?
Good question. I would say Blue Chips.
Blue Chips? Okay, I like Blue Chips.
It talks about the recruitment game and how everybody takes chances, everybody bends or breaks the rules. I mean, guys were handing me cash because I got after my 54 offers, I had about 13 Division I offers, right? And a couple of big schools. The University of DePaul was really big at that point. And it was the first year that Joey Meyer, the coach, went after junior college players. So I was in touch with his son, with Ray Meyer, who was the head coach. I was in touch with his son, Joey Meyer. But I wanted to go to a big school because I wanted to play in March Madness. And the movie Blue Chips really, really gives you a good glimpse into what that process is about. They will tempt you with money, with girls, cars, all kind of things. I mean, they offered me a 1971 Pinto, and that's why I didn't go to DePaul. But,
I'm starting to get your humor now, by the way. I'm catching on.
Yeah.
But the basketball, it's different now with the NCAA, right? With the college players.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, they got the name, image, and likeness now. I mean, you can make millions, literally.
Right.
Make millions of dollars. I mean, I was skating by on $65 a month.
Right. Before the podcast, you guys were talking about the young lady that just was right. She just got drafted or something.
Caitlin Clark.
Right.
Unbelievable player.
Right.
Just she's completely at another level, and I love the fact that there's no moment that's too big for her. Mm-hmm. That's a champion.
Well, I think it's great because it's putting a light on women's basketball because I think that they weren't, getting the ratings and stuff that they weren't. And with her, it seems like it's really people are starting to catch on and starting to watch follow women's basketball.
Yeah, I've been watching girls basketball, women's basketball since I started really liking it. In Oklahoma in high school, they didn't even have 5-on-5. They had 3-on-3, and you 3 girls on offense, and you would shoot or whatever, then the other girls get the ball and throw it down to their offense. And then you got 3 other girls on your team that's playing defense. When they get the ball, they dribble it to half court and giving it to you. So it's like you're got this forbidden zone that you can't go beyond half court. If you're a defensive player, you can't go to the offensive end of the court. I thought that was utterly ridiculous because there was some incredible female athletes at Booker T. Washington High School where I went. I didn't graduate from there. I graduated from Edison High School in Tulsa. But I thought it was really, really a shame. I'm so glad that the ladies' game is growing like it is.
Yeah, it seems exciting. Yeah. Maybe she'll come on the show someday. I'm just
there she is.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So we talked about your basketball career, and then you said with your injury, you met your wife, and that's kind of
I met my wife many years
later.
Many years after that.
But then the comedy, which we're going to talk about, you wrote the great book, The X-Files. But so I'm guessing, this is just a guess because I've only read a little bit of the inserts of the book on Amazon here, which I'm going to I'll pull up to the audience here.
All right.
So it's on sale
4.8 stars out of 5 on Amazon.
Who gave you a bad star? Jeez, follows.
I think it was probably somebody that I dunked on in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably somebody.
So is this book about the X-Files? Kind of explain, is it about all your exes? Is
Check it out. It's EX, not the letter X.
Oh, okay.
Right. So my wife is so incredible. I don't know if anybody's married. If you're out there, you know that you've got something good when you've got somebody that slides out of bed first in the morning and reaches up, grabs your foot every morning. In almost 25 years, grabs your foot, your ankle, your toe, or something, and is praying for you. Sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't. I open my eyes, and there she is, sometimes crying tears, and she's praying for me, and she's moving her mouth, and she's saying these things. She wants me to be fulfilled. She wants me to stay healthy. She wants me to be completely happy and fulfilled in life. And you can't put a value on that. Then that's ever since we've been married, and since 1999. But in 2021, it was kind of in the midst of COVID, kind of going into the tail end of COVID.
Right.
We were talking about bills one day, sitting in my man cave, and she's saying, "We need to pay this. We need to pay this." And I'm looking at. She goes, "Are you even paying attention?" I'm like, "No, I'm lost in your eyes," because she's probably the most beautiful physical woman that you'll ever see in your life. And I mean, compared to anybody, Halle Berry, I don't care who it is. My wife is just unbelievable, right? But she's super, super sweet. So she gets up after we get through the bill conversation. She's walking out. And I'm thinking to myself, somebody's got to know about her, right? So I entered her into the Miss Senior America pageant, right? I just do it online. And I forgot to tell her that I entered her into it. So about maybe, I don't know, a month later, I'm making a sandwich in the kitchen. She comes with her phone like, "Did you enter me in something?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell you that, in this pageant thing." And she'd never done a pageant. She's so humble. She goes, "Wow, I never even thought about doing that. It's just something I never even thought about it." She won.
She won. Wow.
She won. She's Miss Missouri Senior America 2022.
Wow.
And on that picture right there, she's 61 years old.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
On that picture. I'm 20, but she's 61 on that picture. And she has no problem with me saying how old she is, right?
Yeah.
Right now, she's 65, getting ready to be 66.
Yeah.
I am 62.
Right.
And so anyway, that's somebody calling me that shouldn't be calling me right now. So that's my sister.
Oh, okay.
She wants to know, can you go get groceries? No, I can't. Anyway.
So she won the pageant, huh?
She won the pageant.
Yeah.
Went to Hershey, Pennsylvania for the national pageant. All the state representatives went. So we brought the chocolate to Hershey, but she finished in the finals, but she didn't win it. But even the ladies that were in the top 5 were like, I have no idea how she didn't win this thing. Right? Her talent was liturgical dance. She's an incredible dancer, and she's about 5'9", 5'9.5",
and 25 years, you said?
Yeah, we'll be married 25 years. Wow. This October 22nd.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm happy as Ray Charles at night school.
Oh gosh. Well, that's a good segue because that'll bring us into your comedy. So
Let's do it.
Okay, so you said second grade, but obviously you weren't doing stand up at second grade. So
yeah, I was making money going to clubs. No, okay.
So when was it that you started doing the club scene, and what made you? Because I want to ask Pete this too when he was on. I bet you the first time you stepped on stage was probably the most scariest thing. The first time people were like, "You're funny, Dave. You're funny," but who knows if you could survive the stage?
People, my friends, coworkers, everybody was saying, "Man, you should do it. You should do it. It's going to be great." Right? The only person that doubted was me. And in fact, I was going to go and I was going to do it, and I chickened out at the last minute. I started watching Flip Wilson as a child, and I said, that guy seems like he's having so much fun. Then there was Dick Gregory. Then there was Johnny Carson. I'm like, wow, that's got to be fun, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I started January of 92 is when I first got on the stage, the very first. And I decided that, you know what, I'm going to write something that's unique. So I twas the night before Christmas, and I switched it around and gave it an inner city slant to it, right? And there was 16 different acts in an open mic at the Funny Bone in Westport. And I was like the third guy to go up. I was so nervous. I don't drink. Yeah. I had a cranberry juice, right? I couldn't even pull it up to my mouth. I had to put it on the table and then lean over and suck the straw that way. I was so nervous, man. But when it finally came down, I had gone through so many rehearsals in my living room in front of my two goldfish, Crockett and Tubbs, and I was doing good. I felt great about it. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I was the third guy to go up. But
do you remember any of it?
Yeah, basically it was after Christmas, and I said, guys, I don't know if you guys heard this story, but there was a guy who, he got attacked in his home, and it was Christmas Eve, and these guys, they just beat him up, and they just did all kind of crazy things to him, took his money, took his belongings, right? And he beat him so bad he went into a coma for like a month, and he just woke up last week. And the investigators went to him and he said, "Sir, can you tell us what happened? Can you give us any idea of what happened?" And he looked up and he said, "'Twas the night before Christmas." And all through the crib, not a creature was stirring, except on some ribs. The sweat sock were hung by the toilet with pride to see whether or not their mama had lied. And it mirrors the whole thing all the way through. And the people went nuts. I won that night, my very first time on stage.
Yeah.
I won $300, and it was a radio station, Q106 radio station here in St. Louis.
I remember it was Q106, yeah.
And it was clean, right? So they played it for like 3 Christmas seasons in a row. And it was about 3.5 minutes long, right? And that's all I knew. I got 5 minutes, but I was done at 3.5, and I was probably talking too fast. I was probably done at around 3.
Right.
Got off, went back in the back. I didn't even realize it was a contest. And they said, okay, we're going to, the top 3, boom, 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 Lavelle Crawford, a guy named Danny O'Day. And they said, tonight's winner, guys, I can't believe a first-timer won. And I'm looking around, and he said, David Graham. And I sat there. Is there another David Graham around here? Really? Couldn't believe it. Went up there. And what they did, they gave me $300 and an MC night for 1 week at the club.
Wow, and that's what started it now.
That's what started it. I'm thinking, okay.
And then you're like, wow, shit, now I got to write something. Now I got to I got to have an act.
Yeah, I'm like, shoot, I'm the next Richard Pryor, man.
Right.
Shoot, I'm Bill Cosby too. I'm going to be doing this thing, right? And I started writing. I got to about 15, 18 minutes. And I started getting calls from different people. That same year went into late 92. Worked with Chris Rock, opened for Chris. That was right at the time that his movie CB4 came out.
Okay, so he was still on SNL?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So
it was December. It was actually the day after Christmas. It was the day after Christmas.
I like CB4. It's one of my,
yeah.
That's an underrated film, by the way,
Yeah. So I worked with George Wallace during that period.
Oh, my gosh,
man.
Wow.
God, I can't even remember. I don't know if you remember Tom Parks, the Shoney's guy.
Yeah, I think he was actually, wasn't he not from St. Louis at one point or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought he was.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to do a showcase with a guy named Richard Jenny. Who is, in my opinion, the greatest technical comedian that has ever lived. He's just absolutely fantastic.
What's a good technical comedian?
A guy who there's no wasted motion, there's no way, and he seems like he's just in his living room talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he'll do a joke, and he'll do a punchline, and he'll spin. He'll just start walking this way. He'll do something, and he'll spin and start walking this way. Then he'll sit down and just talk to you, and it's the most amazing thing.
And so all that's like rehearsed and it's all technical, it's all planned out, like the way
the key is making it look conversational, like you're just having a conversation. But when you do a television special, you do something called a developmental tour. I work with Chris Rock on his development tour for a show he called Bring the Pain on HBO. Okay, people call it the Toss Salad Show.
That was on for just like a season, wasn't it?
No, it was a one-time stand-up event.
Okay.
So you do about 25 to 30 cities, okay? And you're working that material out in front of live crowds.
Right.
You're working it out. And then after you've got about 20 of them down, you know you can go do it, but you do about another 5 to 10 anyway. Now you're definitely ready for television.
And they still cut that down when they do a television special too, right? Because sometimes they'll still cut some. I mean, right, when Dave Chappelle goes and does like an hour special, sometimes he probably maybe did an hour and a half, but they probably still edited down a little bit too, probably.
That I haven't ascended to that level yet, but I know that you've got direction, and you've got this camera is going to pick you up when you turn this way, right? So they know when you're going to do a hand gesture, they know when you're going to bend down, they know when you're going to fall down or do something like that. So you don't really want to deviate a whole lot, because there's a production aspect to it that they really need to know what to expect.
Wow. And so you were on his tour with him doing?
He came to St. Louis. We did 3 shows together.
Wow.
In one night.
In one night?
One night. First show was at 6 o'clock. No, I think 6:30. The second show was at 8:30. And then the last show was, I think, 11:30.
And every shows that you guys are doing the same material, like in the same order?
Mm-hmm.
Does that get kind of, is that hard, like the third time out there that night, because it seems kind of repetitive? It's hard to make it feel fresh. Like, it seems like it would be hard to.
No, because actually you've probably done that same set probably 200 times.
Oh, okay.
You've probably done it. For example, I've got about 3 hours of material, and I headline for the Norwegian Cruise Lines. So I've got to do 4 different shows, 2 completely different 45-minute shows, 2 completely different 25-minute shows, independent of those 2 45-minute shows, then a 10-minute welcome aboard show. So you got to have all that in the cannon ready to go, right? But in club life, you can go and do the same 45 minutes to an hour every day. I know a guy, we'll call his name, he's out of Cincinnati.
Okay.
But he has done the same show, I would say, for about 18 years. Hasn't changed one syllable. I would be so tired of me.
Yeah.
I would be so like, I hate myself. I hate my act, you know?
So when you would do like 200 shows, you said you did 200 times, like, is it still kind of like a good drug, like the 87th time that you still feel the audience laughter? Is it still like energizing? Does it still shoot through your veins?
Because it's fresh to them.
Okay.
It's fresh to them, so it makes it fresh to you, right?
Okay.
And comedians are such weird animals. We can do 200 killer shows in a row, have one mediocre show, and go, am I funny? Should I be doing it? Should I be working at Wendy's? What am I doing up here? And then the next time you're being introduced, you're like, I hope I'm funny. I really hope this is going to, and it kills again. And you realize, I know I'm in the right place. Proverbs 18:16 says, your gifts will make room for you. Right. And when I first got into business, that, man, I can make $400 or $500 a show. That is great. But you only get one of those shows maybe every 2 months. Right. Then you get the $100 shows, the $75 shows. You get this, right?
Right.
So the game of it all is how many of those big shows you can string together. So numerically, you can actually really, really make a living at it. So I chased the money. I turned pro, I guess you should say, where I went full time in the business in 2002. Right, I was a project manager for WorldCom, and I was contracted to the FBI after 9/11. But they laid everybody off, right? And I was like, wow. So I turned pro in comedy, went and I started doing all this, right? And you get to a point to where you are just looking at your calendar. The worst thing in the world is seeing a blank calendar. It's like, okay, that means no money, right?
Oh, gotcha.
So I was in that game of trying to make sure that I had this money to meet this money, this money to meet this money, right?
Right.
And then in 2012, I stopped chasing the money. And I gave my trust to God. I said, God, you know that I'm doing this.
But you were with God was with you the whole time, right? You right. But really you turned it, okay. And also the one question I want to ask too is it has always been clean comedy with you?
I'd say 92, 93, I had a couple of choice words in there, but I'd say in a 20, 25-minute set, I would say 2 curse words.
Okay.
Right. And then I started coaching AAU. I started mentoring. I started doing these things. And I said, these kids are not going to come to my show, but I don't really need this in my spirit. So God kept me up one night, all night. And
this is 2012 we're talking?
This is 2000. Yeah, this is 2012.
We're jumping back to for the audience here. Okay,
good job. Yeah. But it was 2012, and I said, why can't I sleep? And I started just laying back thinking, okay, I'll fall asleep. And no, God came and talked to me just like you and I are talking. And he said, I have blessed you in a reputation business. Nobody knew who David Graham was when you first started, but I made it to where you can make a living with child support, with 2 car payments and a house payment. I made it to where you can make money. He said, you've been really, really trying to make money instead of trusting me.
Wow.
So what I did at that point, I stopped chasing the money. Then the money started chasing me. And I made really good money as working for WorldCom. But it doesn't touch what I make now. I mean, it's just not about the money, but God keeps his promises. Wow. He kept his promise to me, and he's widening my horizons. There's so many things now that weren't even available to me even 3 years ago.
So you just been doing comedy full time since 2012?
Yeah, it'll be 22 years, man.
Wow.
July 21st.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what? That brings us to the book. When did the idea and the inspiration for the book?
I never thought that I could get a young lady as beautiful, and then when you turn it to the inside, she is the sweetest, most giving, unabashed, loving human being. I mean, when it comes to even 9/11, she's like, well, maybe bin Laden was maybe he just didn't get enough sleep. I don't know. baby. She's
the most positive person in the world, it sounds like.
She's the sweetest thing ever. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? So I couldn't believe that I've got a young lady who is this statuesque, this beautiful, this affectionate, this completely dedicated to God, thus me, because if she loves him, she's going to love me. And I just couldn't believe it, right? So when I was a kid, when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, I watched, let me just say this, my father told me he loved me twice a day. He told me every day.
Wow.
I love you, son. I love you. You can do anything you want. See that kid on television? Why not you, son? Why not you? So he gave me that, and I watched how he treated my mother. Could not believe how somebody could put somebody on a pedestal like that. And I said, you know what? I'm 5. I'm like, I want to be for somebody like he is for mama. And at 5, man, I started thinking, who is my wife going to be? I walked into kindergarten like Snoop Dogg at a house party. I mean, I was like, hey. And one day, true story, my mother picked me up from kindergarten, and we're coming home, and I'm quiet. She said, "What's wrong, son?" By the time we get in the driveway, I'm crying. By the time we get in the house, I'm just quiet and to myself, but crying. She said, "What is going on?" I said, "I ain't gonna never get married." She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, because all the people that we know are married and the ones on TV that's married, they all got the same last name. Ain't none of the girls in my class named Graham." And it's a true story. I remember being in the kitchen, leaning back on the cabinet.
Yeah.
Just bellowing, right? And my mother, she just laughed. She told me to sit down. She said, "Listen, when you get married, son, your wife will take your name." And then I went, "Yeah, but I don't want nobody named David neither." Right? True story, man. Right? So she just hugged me and she said, "It's going to work out." So from that point, I've been on a quest, man.
Yeah.
A quiet quest. First grade, oh man, you'll see in the book. My first love was love itself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw somebody that fit my view of what love would be like, I fell in love with her. I was just like, oh, she didn't even know. But I'm like, wow, that's going to be my wife one day, right? It wasn't, right? But I went to first grade, second grade, always somebody that had that, right? And I was like, wow, would that be the one? Would that be the one? And there are so many things. And the book is about all the ways I bumped my head against crazy situations before I had the sense to give it over to my Creator. When I gave it to God, God said, "I got you." And if you notice when you read the book, there's a chapter, the last chapter of the book is called Her. That's when I found her, right? And the chapter before that is called Love Night. And it was love, but it wasn't about a woman. It was about, do I love myself enough to love God enough? To let him.
Do you think men that are that have a bunch of different women, have different women, do you think it's more of like an insecurity on their own self? That's why they have to maybe have so many different girlfriends, because maybe have that side woman, so to speak, and it is because it's an insecurity on their own self?
I can only speak for me.
Yeah.
I only wanted one.
Right.
Me, I only wanted one. In college, I was All-American, captain of the team. It was literally crazy. At 19, I had 38, 40-year-old women, just waiting for me after games, knowing that I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I knew who my Redeemer is, and I knew what he had for me at some point, right?
Right.
I was the president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I went around and I spoke to high schools. I talked about nonconformity. I talked about using your own brain. I talked about all things that would protect somebody when it came down to making a important decision. I told the young ladies, I said, somebody who wants you to lay down and do something, they are not your friend. They're not your friend. Doesn't sound like a comedian, does it?
Yeah.
But I was very, very serious about finding my one. So I messed around one time in college, and I had a girlfriend, and I took this other girl, to the movies. Why would I do that? The one time I took this girl to the movies, my girlfriend is coming in the theater.
With her girlfriend or something.
With her girlfriend, like three of her girlfriends.
Right.
Oh,
like, it's even worse.
I'm like,
in front of her girlfriends. Yeah.
Oh, now, yeah. So it was tough, but I learned a lesson.
Right.
I learned a lesson. So the book really goes into there's no villains in the book. There's no bad stories about somebody in the book. The book is purely comedy, and every chapter begins with a corresponding scripture as to what you're going to read about. The very first chapter of the book is called "Wanna Be Starting Something."
Well, let's read that scripture on the first chapter, though. You said you went to read a couple of the books, so for the audience here.
All right. Okay. All right. This is just kind of what the book capsulizes right here. This is just a brief feelings. The culprit of all things emotional. Emotion. The unrelenting beast exhaling the sweet aroma of hope. Hope, life's agent of optimism. Love, the reckless chariot that grabs you by the aorta, dragging you mercilessly, even painfully, in the direction that you are more than willing to go. So everybody has that experience. You know, you don't know if something's going to work out, but boy, I really like this person and all of this stuff, right? So let's see. The first chapter is called, well, actually, the very, very first chapter is Matrimony, Anyone?
Okay.
And the scripture is, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. That's Matthew 7 and 7. I've been married for 23 years, 23 at that point. I've been married 24 now. I've been married for 23 years. The best woman in the history of life got away. No, I'm kidding. Oh. My Joyce is the single sweetest human that ever, ever, ever lived. I am nothing without her. Because of her, I am the most me that I can be. She gave me permission to do this book. Now, if we jump over a little bit.
Yeah.
We jump over a little bit to chapter 5. Yep. Man or mouse. For God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. This is a chapter about a young lady that I fell head over heels for in 2nd grade. We moved to a new neighborhood, and I just couldn't believe how beautiful she was, right? In life, there are crushes that never develop, mad crushes that never materialize, insane crushes that, well, you get the idea. Scenarios where the crusher doesn't even make an emotional mountain climb to even say a word to the crushee. Such was the case with Marta. Marta was the prettiest girl in our brand new neighborhood, hands down. She was in the 2nd grade like me. We didn't go to the same school, but I was optimistic because she liked my bike. Marta lived on Haskell Place, the street directly behind us. You could even see their driveway from our back patio window. And you could even watch her help put groceries away if you stood on a milk crate right outside their kitchen window. Kidding. It took 2 crates. So those are some of the scenarios that this book goes into, but it doesn't all start and stop with stuff that happened when I was a small child. Some of the stuff that happened when I was in college. When I was in college, I would go, went to junior college in Warner, Oklahoma. And it was small community, but it was basketball rich. People loved basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
And the neighboring community was Muskogee, Oklahoma. And I started dating a girl from Muskogee. She was in high school. I was a freshman in college. So it was only a year between us. Yeah. And she worked at Walmart. True story. It's also in the book. I walk into Walmart and people know me. That's David Graham. It's a basketball player. Ooh, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, so you're probably like a celebrity because it's a small town basketball.
Yeah, yeah. Like I even signed a kid's bike seat for him, little banana seat. Signed, and I watched him walk it like a mile home, so he wouldn't sit on it.
It would smear,
yeah. So it was a great, very fortunate situation for me that I could hopefully impact some lives. So my girlfriend at the time, she worked at Walmart, so I would surprise her and take stuff up there, right? And when she got off work, I'd be sitting outside with flowers or whatever. So still thinking I'm going to find my queen like Daddy found his, right? So I'm in Walmart, and there's 4 young men that approached me. They're probably 11, 12, 13 years old. And they say, David Graham, man, dude, you got a monster dunk. Man, the one when you dunked on Seminole, man, that was incredible. Thank you, appreciate it. Would you sign your autograph? I was like, yeah. So I'm standing there and I'm signing I'm being Mr. Cool, Mr. Jock, Mr. Whatever. My girlfriend is standing in the little back wings behind the guys, right? And she's smiling, she's proud. I am standing in front of a 10-foot Pennzoil oil display. The cans are going
we're talking
up.
Cans back in the okay.
The cans are going up in descending order like a pyramid.
Okay.
Right? And it's 10 feet. Right? So I'm standing there and I'm talking, hey, stay in school, do your homework, hey, boom, boom, boom. Right? My right heel hits one can.
Oh, it's a cornerstone. Hit the cornerstone. Yeah.
One stinking can. You think the crash of 29 was serious, these cans came crashing down like absolutely an avalanche, and it hit me in the back, and they're rolling around, and little old ladies are trying to get out of the way of it. And my girlfriend is still standing back there, but she's got her hand over her mouth, and she's trying not to laugh, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And by the time I realized what's happening, all 4 of the young men gone. My cool had been ruined, completely ruined. So those situations, when I have so many opportunities to meet people, the book goes into several scenarios, and but it ends up after my 32-year odyssey. When I was 37, I met her, and that's where that last chapter of the book starts.
And we'll give a little spoiler. What's the name of the last chapter?
The last chapter is
her.
Her.
Her. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I also know you had given me a couple notes and stuff too. So you were talking about as a child, and do you want to talk about any of the things as you were talking about? Got beatings as a child. Is that something?
I got beatings as a child and as an adult. But we don't want to talk about marriage, do we?
No.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
But as a child, man, I got beat, and I just not just beat. It wasn't merciless. It was merciful. My mother, she whip you until the news came on. I mean, she just, because I deserved everything. I was that guy. I got in trouble for everything, especially in school, right? And always my punishment was you go outside and you clean those chalkboard erasers. So every day I'm like, all the chocolate fly up in my face. But I was the only white kid in our class. Yeah.
Funny.
So I earned the beatings, the whippings, and it's really out of character to say beating, because they didn't just beat me. They beat me, they whipped me with belt, switches from the tree, Hot Wheel track, if you can believe that. Hot Wheel track.
My God, I remember those orange ones.
Yes.
Oh God.
They are brutal.
Yeah.
They are brutal. But it was one of those situations, man, where I earned it, and I thought that the beating was worth the laugh, man. It was just, I had so much fun doing stuff in school, right? And I would tell you that the worst beating I ever got was 4th grade. I'm sitting in the back of the class with my best friend, Kirk McDonald, who's passed away now. But this is my best friend ever. And the teacher is going through syllabic breakdown, right? So she writes the word geometry on the board, and she's drawing the lines through the syllables. And I'm clowning in the back with my buddy, and she walks back there and she goes, "Okay, Mr. Funny Man, you want to talk so much, let's see you stand up in front of the entire class and use the word geometry in a sentence." Her first mistake was giving me an audience. Right. Second mistake was giving me material, right? So I stand up, 10 years old, and I go, "I once planted a seed, and it grew and grew and grew till one day it said, 'Gee, I'm a tree.'" Right. And the teacher, she got caught up in it, man. And she was laughing. She put her hand on her mouth and just did this. Go.
Right.
Go. But I knew I had her, man. I was like, okay, making people laugh is fun.
Right. Well, it can get you out of trouble too. It can diffuse a kind of a bad situation.
Yeah, it can also help you pay your bills, man. If I call somebody to set up an arrangement on a bill and I make them laugh, they'll give me the world. They'll give me the world.
Oh yeah, it's good for salesmen. Yeah.
Oh man, I'll say something, man. I say, "Well, you need to make this payment, sir, in 3 days, or we have to pick up the car." I said, "In 3 days?" I said, "Okay, can we? Halloween, Christmas, Easter? Can we use those 3 days? I can pay you by Easter,
Right. That's funny.
But it's all just off the cuff stuff.
Yeah. Has your
so.
brain always been quick like that? With kind of? Do you find? Because it's different types of comedy, right? You were talking about your sets and stuff, and then there's kind of like on the fly.
Oh yeah, and you can actually, when you do stuff in the middle of a show, and it's on the fly like that, it's called writing from the stage, and you can come up with some really, really, really cool stuff writing from the stage. Because I tell my audience that in my adult life, I've had some real blessings, and also in my child life. But when I was a child, I had some real challenges. In fact, my first grade teacher looked me straight in the eye and said, "I don't like you. Stay away from me. I don't care if you never ever come back here again." Okay? Being homeschooled was really hard at times. I tried to transfer to a different family, but they didn't want a 19-year-old first grader either.
Yeah.
So I was in the middle of going through that joke on stage, and I didn't even have the homeschool part.
Right. Oh,
I thought about it. I thought I was going somewhere else, and I would always go somewhere.
Okay.
But on stage, I said, "Ooh, I could be homeschooled." And I threw it out there one time, and it hit like an anvil, right? So there's so many things that you could just think of on the stage, because for example, I'm doing family-friendly shows on a cruise ship,
right?
And got a whole family sitting there, and I'm talking to a little kid. He's maybe like 9 years old. Say his name is Justin. And I say, "Well, Justin, I want to encourage you to do your best in school. Okay, can we encourage Justin, everybody?" And everybody clap.
Of course.
I want you to encourage you to do the very best you can in school, because if you don't, you'll wind up telling jokes on the cruise ship in the middle of the Atlantic, and your family won't know where you are. So they so they get it, and I'm talking about myself.
Right. And
then I'll ask him something like, I'll just look at the whole family sitting there. I'll say, "So what do you want to do when you grow up?" He'll start talking. No, I'm talking to your dad. So you're making stuff up as you go,
right?
And you're filtering it into the stuff that you've already been doing, and it beefs it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it easy to kind of win the audience over when you kind of make a joke on yourself? For when you
self-deprecating is kind of cool. For example,
there's probably like a limit though. You don't want to just do it your whole set though. Right?
No, not at all. Because a lot of people, like, you get a guy that's like morbidly obese, and he's going to talk about eating and talk about his whole thing. And I'm sure that it's going to be some value to that, some humorous merit to that. But I mean, let's talk about something else, or the black comedian that gets up there and for an hour, black people do this, white people do this. And it's like, okay, we get it. Get it. Move on.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things, man, where you got to keep it fresh for yourself, and the audience is going to appreciate it.
Okay. Wow. And you said you had a brush with Cat Williams. Now, Cat Williams has been in the news lately. I saw him on Joe Rogan. I thought, him speaking about things, he's a real smart guy. Really, it seems very intelligent.
Yeah.
When you met him, what's your feelings?
Cat, he's extremely intelligent. He's directional with his intelligence, because he holds that back when he's on stage in his delivery.
Mm-hmm.
He talks like the guy who may bag your groceries, or the guy who may do whatever. But inside the joke is usually some brilliance. Okay. I'm also the comedian for the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals.
Right. Okay.
I do some stuff for them in the community. I'm the guy in their 6 is a Serious Number commercial with Mobile on the Run. So it's one of those things, man, where you're blessed to be able to do this. But I had to come off the road for about 6 months in 2011/2012 for personal reasons, and so but I got a job as a security. I'm 6'5", 275, right?
Yeah.
So I got a job as a security guard in the Mills Mall, right? And I'm just walking. It's the week of Thanksgiving, and I'm walking my route. Got my hat on, got my little fake whatever on my belt to make it think that I'm legit, but I'm really not. Like $1.55 an hour or something I was making. I can't remember what it was, but it was Thanksgiving week in 2011, and I'm walking through. Boom, boom, boom. 2 guys come up on this side of me. 2 guys come up on this side of me, and I'm like, okay, what's going on, fellas? And he said, hey, our boss wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? Who's your boss? He just wants to talk to you, man. You're a comedian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm in my
security outfit.
I'm in my Paul Blart right now. How do you know I'm a comedian? Well, my boss will talk to you. Right? So one guy walked away, and I was talking to the other three. I still don't know who their boss is. And he comes back, and there's more guys. So now there's a total of about 6 guys, right? And then this little bitty guy with a red St. Louis Cardinal hat on and a Cardinals jacket and a white T-shirt, and he's got his hair pushed up under the hat. And I'm looking, I'm like, that's Cat Williams. What's going on? And this dude is probably, I'm serious, if he's 5 feet tall, I would be shocked. He's a little bitty guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So he said, he looks at me and goes, so me and my boys, we was looking at you walking by, and we realized that you was a comedian, because when we go to a city, we like to check out all the black comedians, man, you know, from this city. We look at videos and stuff. Yeah. And you stood out because your stuff is real funny. You know, we wanted to see if you might want to do, I'm doing a show at the Chevy, the one guy, the Chaffetz. Oh yeah, I'm over there on the Friday after Thanksgiving. Yeah, so want to know if you might, you know, $400, you do 10 minutes in front of me. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay. I'll tell you what, man. He said, tell you what, call me tomorrow. I still got his number on my phone. Yeah. Call me tomorrow about 2 o'clock afternoon, because I don't get up until late. So don't call me before 2. Right? I said, okay, all right, cool. So I called him about 2:30, right?
Right.
Didn't get an answer. I called him back, and this is how he answers the phone. Talk! I'm like, all right. Hey, this is David Graham, comedian from St. Louis. I met you in the mall yesterday. Oh, yeah. So you gonna do a show? I said, well, you know, I talked it over with my wife, and they ain't got nothing to do with it. You gonna do the show? Well, let me just say, I you know, my comedy's clean, man, and I think your audience is gonna come to see a different kind of comedy.
Right, yeah.
You know, so he's on the phone with me, and I hear him go, this blankety blank ain't gonna do the show. And I'm like, well, it's not that I don't want to do it. Right. I just don't think that. So you ain't gonna do the show? I'm like, I just don't think that. And he was gone.
Oh, shit.
He was gone, man. I was just like, okay, there it is, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it reminds me of another scenario. This guy from Tyler Perry Studios was on one of the cruises that I was on. And he said, man, you got so many voices. You do so many different things. He said, they're working on putting together a movie about Richard Pryor's life. I'm not saying, because I do Richard Pryor too. Yeah. He said, I'm not saying that you would be the pick, but I think that I can get you a video audition. I'm like, okay, but I'm 6'5", man.
Yeah,
you know? He said, but I'm telling you, man, they might be able to use your voice. I listened to it when you did the impression. I said, okay, all right. So the more and more I thought about it, you know, I'm like, okay. I called my wife from the cruise ship and told her about it. She goes, I don't know, honey. I don't know. I mean, you're clean. And I said, yeah, but it's acting. It's, you know, and they'll bring me into Atlanta if they like my video submission. And she, so
it could be a still opportunity to just meet somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I get off the cruise ship. I go home, and my wife has the Bible open to Ephesians 5.
Okay.
And I'm looking, okay. I didn't know it was going to be tied into my Richard Pryor audition. So I looked at it, and it said, ways to not be eligible for the kingdom of heaven, to exclude yourself. You shall not do coarse jesting. That means harsh jokes. And she just left it there for me. I'm like, wow. Now, at this point, I'm a licensed minister of the gospel, but I'm doing comedy everywhere, and people don't think that jives. Well, how can you be a preacher and you can be a comedian? I said, well, comedy isn't synonymous with filth. You can laugh at some stuff that's not dirty.
Right.
So
harder though.
It comes easy to me.
Yeah. Right. Well.
Yeah. I don't know. It just I've got this. That's why my head is so big.
Right.
It just comes easy to me. Right. So I'm like, wow. Oh man. So I told the guy. I said, man, I don't think I can do it. Right. So it's kept me out of some situations, but you know, I trust God. He's kept me out of some situations that I knew would have hurt me.
Yeah. So real quick, go back on the Cat Williams thing. If he would have said you could have did it clean, would you have went and did it clean in front of his audience? And
well, I would. That's the only way I would have done it.
Right. Well, right. But I mean,
He was gonna take because he saw my video.
Yeah.
And the video was clean.
Right.
And he said, I want that guy.
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't have my contact number up there at the time, right?
Uh-huh.
So no, but if I say yes to somebody, I'm doing it clean.
Right.
You know, God's been too good to me, man, for me to spit in his face with language.
Oh man. So
yeah, because I wasn't supposed. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't supposed to live through the night, March 29, 2019, 5 years ago. And they even told my wife that we don't expect him to see another sunrise.
What happened?
I had cancer. They took the cancer out, and then I developed a bilateral pulmonary embolism. 2 blood clots went through my heart into my lungs, and it became acute after about 8 days. Because I started wondering why I'm breathing so hard, and I had this thing called an infarction, which means that's when your heart gets no oxygen, nothing. Right. Your lungs get no oxygen because your heart is not pressing the blood beyond the blood clots. Okay. So basically, long story short, they told my wife that we don't think you'll see another sunrise, but they did a test on me earlier that day, and they found they saw blood clots. How do you combat blood clots? With blood thinner. So they couldn't give me blood thinner because I would have bled out from my cancer surgery, right? Because I'm still bleeding from my cancer surgery. So there's a doctor in Europe, 1997, named Andre Strimbos. He developed a procedure where it would only shoot the blood thinner into your cardio area. It wouldn't go to the rest of your body. That is what I needed. But I didn't even know I was sick. Because when you have a pulmonary embolism, you're good. You're good. You can get up, walk to the bathroom, but you might fall out in the middle of your walk, and you are deceased before you hit the ground. I didn't, and that's an infarction. I didn't have one infarction. I had 2 infarctions, and I survived both of them. I still didn't know what I had, right? Right. So this guy who they told my wife that we don't know if you'll see another sunrise, right? The guy in Europe on that night happened to be in the United States that night. That night, he happened to be in Bridgeton, Missouri. At that night, he happened to be at DePaul Hospital, 1 floor above me. They showed him an organic CT of me, and he said, go get him. He won't make it through the night. Go get him. And he performed the procedure, and he saved my life.
Wow. Do you still talk to that guy?
If I talked to him twice after that, and because he lives in Europe, right. And what's more is that he shouldn't have even been there that night, right? Because his daughter was getting married in Chicago the next afternoon. He should have been at the rehearsal dinner. Tell me what God can't do. Yeah. God sends angels, man. That's why I don't curse. You know, if I happen to curse, it's really rare, but I certainly don't do it on purpose in my shows.
Right. But you don't get offended with people cursing around you or anything like that, right? I mean, it's
real life. Like if you watch a movie, it's going to happen.
Right.
You know, it's going to happen, man. But if I'm talking to somebody and they know what I am, and they know what I do, and they're just flipping and boom, 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 they know what I do, but they choose to do it anyway. That's a sign of disrespect. So I don't tell grown people about themselves. You just don't see me anymore.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, we talked about a lot of great things on the podcast tonight. I think I got through. You gave me a nice list of things. New father. That's another thing you had on your list.
Oh yeah, man. As of March 20th, you're looking at a brand new father.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get the.
Yeah, my 30-year-old my 30-year-old son moved back in with us.
Oh, that's a joke. Oh, you got claps. That's a pretty good. That's.
Hey.
So, comfortcomedy.com. What's that all about?
Comfortcomedy.com is the website where you can go and find clean comedy tailored to any particular event. I talk about anything that any other comedian talks about, but I don't go deep into sex. I don't go deep into anything that would be considered, ooh, I can't trust this guy in front of my stockholders. I can't, ooh. Now, if they know, just by going to Comfort Comedy, America's clean comedian, this guy can be trusted. So when I do shows for Pfizer, I can ask for a ridiculous amount of money, And if they don't say yes, they'll come close because they trust me over another guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think comedians kind of shoot themselves in the foot by just doing just dirty comedy?
I think that
you limit yourself, you cap yourself out.
I think what guys are doing and ladies are doing in that regard are doing what they think the audience expects from them. Mm-hmm. You know, they're living down to audience expectation, right? I remember one time I was sitting on the couch at home. My wife, she comes in and goes, "This guy is horrible. He's so filthy. This guy. I said, sweetie, this guy makes your husband stand out. Mm. That's why we live where we live. That's why we live how we live.
Yeah.
God said, I got you. Yeah. So it's just one of those things, man, where people they'll do what's also comfortable, what they've done for years, you know, and sometimes people will open for me and they'll get nervous, you know, for a myriad of reasons, and they'll revert back to a phrase or a word that might have something in it. And it's like, okay, see that whole section over there? They came to see me, dog. I mean, they came to see me, but now they had to put up with you. Boom, boom, boom. There's my pastor. There's 4 of my deacons. There's boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Right. And let them do. I mean, like I say, I don't tell grown people how to be. But if it's associated with me, and you might be the headliner, then it's your show. Do whatever you want.
All right.
But if I'm the headliner, let's just
keep it cool. Yeah.
Let's do what I would do. But you know, you got guys who get out there, man, and just do what's familiar. You know.
Pete, you want to come? Hey, we're at the end of the show, so I just want to give a shout out to you. Let the audience see you. Pete's
ladies
back,
and gentlemen,
folks. Pete O'Shea is back.
Best hair in America, y'all. Best hair.
He does got some good hair.
Best hair in America.
Hair like that.
I'm just glad to have a little peach fuzz right here, man.
Just a real quick on you guys. How did you guys meet? Because he just moved back to St. Louis from
Give it up,
Tampa.
Pete. Tell a story.
Yeah, so when I first got here, I was working in a mattress store. I won't mention the name of the mattress store. We won't mention it.
They have mattresses, though, right?
Yeah, they had some mattresses there. Anyway, they also had furniture, so we started doing a talk show there in the furniture store, in the furniture section, called Sleepless in St. Louis. And every day we did it. We sold the furniture that you know, whatever we were sitting on. And so there was a woman who worked there who used to work with David a long, long time ago, and she said, "I'm going to get you my friend David Graham to come on the show." So he had just come out with the book, and so he came on over, and I interviewed him there in the sectional couch.
Yeah.
And we bonded right away, dude. It's really because, again, we're both the same. I'm a Christian comedian also. I love the Lord. I'm married to a pastor. I'm a pastor. We live a life of nonprofit, of giving and loving on the Lord. And so we're about 2/3 of the way through the interview, and he's sitting right next to me on this little sectional. There's 4 other people on the show, by the way. Right. He just puts his head on my shoulder. And I just put my arm behind the back, and we've been the best of buds ever since.
We shared prayer immediately after the segment was over. We shared prayer. And I think we probably went to lunch like the next day or 2 days after that.
We sure did, and we always break bread and pray together, encourage each other. Every gig pretty much I've gotten here in St. Louis, I got through him.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I don't want to... He's
God.
God, but okay, but he cares, and he tries, and he's always looking out for me, okay? He doesn't want me to tell you this because he's modest, okay? But here's the truth, okay? I didn't have nothing when I got here, dude. You know this. We interviewed me the other day. Lost it all in the hurricane, had no roots here, nothing I could get going. This guy not only is getting me gigs, but he calls me up one day and he says, check your email. What for? Just check your email. Okay, I checked my email. He paid for a service for me, Gig Salad, so that I could start getting gigs. He knew I had no money.
Wow.
He didn't ask me, didn't talk about it. He just did it and goes, I love you, brother, and go get them. Oh, wow. Okay, by the way, I got 2 today.
Amen.
I got 2 off Gig Salad today. Okay, I'm doing a senior center next month. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be phenomenal. It's gonna be gorgeous. We're gonna have it's beautiful. Cocktail wedding we're gonna have.
It's gonna be phenomenal.
And then I'm doing a dinner party too in St. Charles. And again, that came from Gig Salad from that guy, right? And that's a caring, loving guy who he kept telling you how blessed he was, right? He understands that, he appreciates it, and he gives back, and he helps everybody. All the other comedians know that about him also. But he's been my ascending angel, my guardian angel
Soul
since we got my soul brother. That's right. We've become the best of buds. We both love basketball.
Connected right at the soul.
We go on the gigs together, and the whole way home is a sports talk show. We could do a whole show.
You guys started before we did the podcast.
And we talk about all the old days, the Showtime with the Lakers and Larry Bird and all that era. He and I both know that in a sort of a Rain Man fashion, you know. They were, both of our wives say to each other. Yeah, then that guy in 1973, he went 14 for 17 from the field, and then he had this, and we both know, and our wives, we all had dinner, and the wives said to us, "Oh my God, they're like the same person, you know, they're like they're built from the same cloth," and that's just been fantastic, man. He's a life-affirming fella. He made me, he restored my faith in humanity single-handedly with his heart.
Bless you, man.
Good.
Love
Wow.
you.
Love you too, buddy.
Well, one last pitch for the book here. I want to
Yes,
for the
sir.
audience here, so check it out.
Can I explain the cover?
Yes, explain the cover to us.
Okay.
I mean,
if
it
you
looks
look
like
if you look at the cover, let's see, how do we do that?
I'll cut to you. Just make sure the mic's on you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you look at the cover, it's the X-Files, how nothing worked till I trusted God. There it is. How nothing worked till I trusted God. And if you look here, that is the bride. That is the bride at the top, not knowing who her husband's going to be even. And that's the husband not knowing who his wife's going to be, looking and looking, but he's going through the wedding cake of life. He's going through life looking for her, going through challenge, struggle, faith, pain, faith again, and he hits glory when he finds her. These are the things that I went through, and it's not just me. It's common to anybody who's ever sought that one. This is my humorous journey of finding the one.
And so this is just a printed book, or is it, are they able to get an audio download, or is it or a digital download, and then is it an audio book?
We're working on the audio now.
Okay.
But you can also get it through Kindle.
Kindle. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Well, David, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you,
So
my
it was
brother.
great.
I appreciate
it was a great
you having
conversation.
me.
Thank you for the hookup, Pete.
Great
much love to
job,
both of you guys.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you as well.
Check out the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. We got a great guest tomorrow night.
Yeah, my wife.
Your wife's going to be here.
Yeah, Pastor Shannon Fitzpatrick, Elizabeth O'Shea now.
So-
We'll be rolling in, talking about her book, Scars That Heal.
Right. So it's going to be exciting. So definitely check out the Daily Dirt and like the artistunitednetwork.com. And we guys will see you guys again tomorrow.
All right.
Out.